All right, I want to tell you about an NC57, which is considered to be one of my favorite radios. Now, this NC57 is the same circuit as the NC125, and that's just the radio I bought from a guy in Reds for $20. And it was in mint shape. The chassis was coppered. It was just a really nice radio. Now, my father said I was taken, that the radio was real old, and it was from 1951. But at that time, the amateurs were still using them. There was nothing else that you could afford. So I had the radio for, say, 30 years, and then I sold it to a guy. Yeah, 30 years I had it. Sold it to a guy, Bouncing Bob. He went bananas over it. He said it had the Selecto Jet. The Selecto Jet uh, on the NC 125 is built in. This one here, you can buy it as an aftermarket or as an add-on, an accessory. And this also has a S meter you can add on through the back in a plug. The 125 put the Selecto Jet in it and the S meter. Now, it's an RCA patent. It's one of the best circuits at the time. It's got a preamplifier off the antenna, and it's tuned. And there's a knob. Whatever frequency you move to, you can peak up the antenna. It's an antenna trim. Now, there is a radio that Helicrafters made. It's called an S40. It's a piece of shit, and it sold more of the S40s than of the NC57s. But I just wanted you to see the inside gear system. Now, this is probably a B model that's not Mark B. What makes the NC57 a B is the way the accessory plug is wired. You could also say this tuning mechanism would really make it a B compared to the original. The original one, uh, the coils are horizontal, and each coil has the oscillator and mixer on it. It's different, and the dial is different. Well, this is like sort of before they made it a B. Now, when you tune the main tuning, I want you to see some of the stuff moving. There's a washer here. Yes, I've cut my nails. The washer here pinches this disc and turns to tuning. But also, let's make sure we're in the frame. Down here is a split gear, and it's got anti-backlash to the dial. So the dial is always following the tuning capacitor. There is no backlash. There is no loss or backlash. It's got an anti-backlash. That's what makes this so unique compared to like an S40. We didn't even get to the rest of the radio. Now, back here, this is a choke in the power supply. The S40 don't have it. They cheated you. It's a big piece of metal. It's a lot of copper in that. The antenna trim. There's probably something else. Oh, you can't forget this. IF cans. Let's make sure we're in the frame. See those IF cans? Those aren't, what would you call, all kitchen radio IFs. These are real IF cans. The S40 Hellcrafters has the IF cans that get silver mica disease. It's just a piece of shit. Avoid the radio. And there's people that, well, I modified mine. You're never going to get this in there. You're never going to do it. But make sure when you look on eBay, make sure it's got this copper disc. All right. There's another version of this where this nice mechanism is not in there, and then you're subjected to the stretching of the dial cords. In this radio, the dial cords are only used for the band spread. And the band spread, you keep it on set. All right, you let the dial do all the difference. Now, this radio is heavily modified. It's got a hole cut in the back of it. And if I can find my flashlight, I just love the way stuff sort of disappears. And it's a black flashlight, but it's got a red tip on the back. I want to show you the back of this radio. See that socket right there? Hold on. Wait. Everything works backwards when I look at the camera. All right, you see this socket right here? That's for either a selecto jet or a Q multiplier. This radio has been heavily modified. This tube over here. The camera don't want to turn. Oh, that's so nice. Oh, this is wonderful. All right, let's try this knob. There we go. Okay. All right, this tube here, I don't want to come out. All right, this tube here is a 6SH7, and I've mentioned this in other videos. It's supposed to be a 6SG7, but if you put this tube in, you'll get more gain, and you'll be able to hear the gain from across the room. In other words, if you have a station, you can just be able to hear them talking. You change the 6SG7 to 6SH7, and you'll hear them. It gets better. Now, notice that socket. Let me make sure we're in there. Notice that socket is porcelain. On some of these models, you'll see a brown socket or a white porcelain instead of the black plastic ones, and it's on the IF tubes. That they went the extra step. You, as a purchaser of this radio, you would not know that some of this stuff is in there. All right, now you might know about the antenna trim, and you have guys online that say the only difference between the NC57 and the Hellcrafters S40 is the antenna trim. I just proved you're wrong. You got that mechanism inside your Hellcrafters? Well, you don't have that. Somebody come up with that because it's superior. All right, they put sockets that are porcelain instead of black plastic. What reason? Again, superiority. The IF cans, instead of using those little square ones that are, watch Shango rebuild them, they get silver mica disease. In these, the capacitor gets silver mica disease, but you cut it out and you just wire a new capacitor in there. It's not built into a little part of the IF can mechanism. I showed you the inside of these cans. It's pure eye candy. All right. Now this set's in really dirty. I think the guy was a heavy smoker, and he's got another tube, 6SJ7 somewhere else in it. And if you go online and put in these numbers, you'll find that the audio groups, the guys with guitars, they found out which ones also have more gain at the audio level. In this case, we're working RF, but this radio has been taken apart so many times by the guy when he modified it. Most of the screws are just they're sheet metal screws. They're not the original screws. But I would show you the bottom of this radio. Maybe I could. I'm thinking, which way does it stand up? I don't want to break anything on camera. Let's hope it. I have notes to myself. See, you gotta put something under there. We're really living dangerous now. All right, now you notice there's a lot of, if you can see them, there's a lot of resistors. This was a resurrection, and I used what capacitors I had. Now down here is the BFO, and all three of the capacitors, usually in the BFO section, they'll be leaky and it won't oscillate. And you go on the groups, and the guy will tell you, oh, you got to short it, turn in the coil, and then he'll send you off on a wild goose chase. Send you for a left-handed monkey wrench. Yeah, gotta watch. But you can see this socket. Let's see if we get in the frame. Make sure I'm in the frame. A little bit more. The camera wants a little bit more. All right, it's modified. I don't know if it's for the Selecto Jet or a Q multiplier. But this guy was a ham operator, and he wasn't that great at soldering and stuff, but he really modified it. And then when he put it back together, he must have lost the screws at one point. He put some uh, basically they're sheet metal screws. They're not I would call them the old car radio type bolts. They're quarter. They got a 1/4 inch head on them. But I just wanted to tell you, the NC57 is basically a All American 5 radio with a good power supply, and it's got the front end, tuned front end, which makes the radio better. Um, you got to watch out for the Hellcrafters S120. There's no tuned front end. It's just the signal comes in through the coil and it goes into a mixer. And stay away from that radio. But you got guys online. Oh, I'm going to rebuild it. I'm going to make it like new. I'm going to, yeah, sure you will. It's not worth it. It's a piece of junk. You should throw it out. And I don't normally like to say that, but I think it might be even a hot chassis set. Anyway, got to watch what you buy. But BFO 5, I got some notes written on the side of this thing. Man, I tell you, when I got this thing, it reeked. Even the speakers got rips in it. I know the guy took this apart, and then I started looking at what a B is. Somebody in one of the manuals at the end, there's a letter from National to a guy, and he wants to know, I think, where to put a fuse in the radio or whatever, because he thinks the transformer burnt out. And they respond to him. They say, what makes it a B is the accessory, the way the accessory plug is wired. I thought it was that copper disc, but it's a later model. And they didn't have to, but they kept improving the radio. I think that's it. All right, that's it. I hope you enjoyed the eye candy.